Hi, I'm David Hill. I live in Somerset West, which is just outside Cape Town, South Africa, on the southern tip of Africa, and I'm a minister in Somerset West, and we've recently planted a church. I'm married to Adele. We have 3 delightful kids. Hannah is 5, Nathan is 3, and Sarah is 2. So I had the privilege of growing up in a home where both my parents knew and loved Jesus. And so I went to church all the way through my school years, but it was only my first year out of school that I got involved in youth. Somebody asked me to come along as a youth leader on a camp. On that camp, I heard the gospel, and I think it was the first time that I really understood who Jesus was and what he had done. And if Jesus was who he says he was, then that changed everything. I couldn't keep living the way I was living. I now needed to live with Jesus as my king, and that would affect every part of my life. So it was from that point on, about the age 19, 20, where I first understood the gospel of grace, and from that point on I wanted to live my life for the glory of God. In Luke's gospel often you see Jesus calling people to follow him, and you see for Jesus' disciples that meant living with him and living and following his example. And obviously after his death and resurrection and ascension, they went on and followed him in his ministry. They were telling the world about who Jesus was and the difference that he made in the world. To follow Jesus means that I want to show the world what he's like by the way that I live. I'm not going to do that perfectly, but I want to show the world how Jesus was loving and gracious. He was a friend of sinners. I'm trying to work out for myself exactly what that looks like, and I want them to see the gospel of grace in me. And I'm hoping that as I have opportunities to follow Jesus in that and explain the gospel to people, they will then also want to follow Jesus, and they'll want to live their lives for him. So yeah, so that's partly what we're doing out here in Somerset West. We're wanting to call an area that many people think that they know who Jesus is, and they probably think that they know what it means to follow him. Most of them would call themselves Christians but aren't. And so I'm hoping that through our church plant we would be able to share the gospel with people, and that they would see Jesus for who he really is and see that following him changes everything. Then they would go out and really follow him, live for him, want the world to know more about him as the only way of salvation, call other people to follow them as they follow Jesus.